Okay.
Okay. Where are we live?
Well, I'm going to check everything in just a second here, but and that's why.
Do you always leave a note
What?
from Arrested Development? The guy with one arm who's always like, "Eh."
This takes way too long. Ah,
But there are ones of people.
3 minutes. Here we go.
that one's boring as shit. Okay. I really like the sense of anticipation in this one.
Yeah.
You are all weirdos.
It's the most fun about everything here. Is just doing. I like doing everything wrong.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what is wrong?
Right. Exactly.
Mountains of Elysium. Who's Mountains of Elysium?
Oh, that's the problem. Hold on a second. Here we go. Yes. Okay. Oh, screw you. Oh. There. Put on some background music.
This is the kind of music that I think Hillary Clinton was hearing when the balloons were coming down.
Was it really that lo-fi?
No. It was probably Fleetwood Mac or some shit, but like, it just sounds like that, doesn't it? It sounds very like, oh.
I can barely hear it because I don't have headphones on. Hold on. It's the free background music that's here. So,
There's a special weather statement.
better than this.
I like how it's like.
It's called dance pop. Here's Night Driving.
Are you using the real media player for that? Because it sounds.
This is called Night Driving. I can't hear it at all.
Really?
Yeah, because there's like big motorcycles driving past.
Oh.
Okay, hold the
Hey,
line.
driving.
Oh my God, there are 3 comments. Somebody actually watching this?
It's Mountains of Elysium is watching it. You know that person?
Oh, hi, Mountains. I'm so confused. I haven't done this it's been what, like 2 years?
It just modulated in a really weird way. It seems like it's slowing down. Like, what's happening?
Here. I think I'm gonna turn it off because it's annoying. Although we have to listen to this one called Feeding the Ducks. Apparently in the 80s.
the ducks.
Yeah.
Feeding the ducks.
Yeah, baby. Come on over to my apartment tonight.
Yeah, sorry, Matt. I'm here where the air quality is terrible and I'm dying, but I will cough into my elbow. I'm sorry. Or maybe I'll use this lovely microfiber cloth.
Oh my god.
Here, can I post a picture into the comment thing?
I don't know. The last. Okay, hold on. I gotta deal with this. It's ridiculous. How is that feeding ducks anyway? It's more like being pecked by ducks.
Here, let me snapshot this and send it to myself. Poof. There we go. So can I do this? Will it work?
Yes, I want this to scroll across the bottom. Well, yes. Now, how do I? There. My name is Andrew. This is okay. I'm embarrassing myself. I really should show my face, but
don't be embarrassed.
Okay.
There's nothing to be embarrassed about. I mean, you know, it's it's the goddamn 21st century. Can I do that?
Do what?
It looked like I could do it. I don't know.
I
want to post an image.
See if, hey, I'll ask Matt and Mo, Mountains of Elysium, MOE. Are we on YouTube right now? I guess we have to be, or else no one would be seeing it and commenting on it.
I agree 100% with you, Matt Amato. And I don't know if you're related to Bruno Amato, who was a teacher I had at Peabody, but he was really cool. So if you are, hats off to you. And if not, you should try to find him if he's still alive. So
I'm just finding my real headphones here, everybody. all of the
Sonder is here.
The ones and ones of listeners that we have.
Yeah,
maybe
loved by tens of people around the globe.
Yeah, maybe someday we'll have tens, but for now we have ones of listeners.
It's a good name.
Can you? Are you able to record it over there? Because I'm not sure StreamYard is, because I don't have a fake or a free account. Hence,
how would I record it? I don't know if
StreamYard I can. Logo in the upper right hand corner. Where did I put my headphones? I don't know. I guess, yeah. I don't know.
I don't think there's a way to record it for me.
All right. Well, tell all of the ones.
Andrea, you know they can hear you, right? Like,
I'm looking for my headphones. I know.
But I mean, you can tell all the ones.
No, I'm looking for my headphones.
Right, but everybody can hear. Everybody can hear you.
I don't want to right now. God damn it.
All right, Andrea would like you to know she's looking for her headphones.
That is not what I wanted you to tell them. You interrupted me.
I'm sorry. This is classic. This is why we're not married.
I didn't hear what you said because my Google Home just it must be 7:00 because it said, wake up, the wild geese are calling to you.
Seriously?
Really, seriously.
Did it say it in Spanish?
No, it said what I just said.
Did you say that in Spanish?
I did not say that in Spanish.
No, I mean, could you? Would you do it? Just do it right now?
Despiértate. Los gansos silvestres te están llamando.
I knew you could do it.
I kind of
she is still in Costa Rica.
There's no good word for wild in that meaning. There's sort of silvestre means kind of foresty, and salvaje means savage, and those are the two words that they use. So I didn't want to say the savage geese.
which sounds like a band from the 80s.
Yeah. God damn it. Snabber, snabber. Christopher,
Yes.
what I was actually saying was uh tell all of the ones.
Yeah.
What,
We
what
can
the
hear
hell
you
are we
right now.
doing? What I know, I get it, okay? I fucking get it.
All right, go on. What am I telling all the ones?
What we're doing here.
Um, well, we're talking is what we're doing here, and
Shut up.
Andrea and I wanted to start a thing called it's called Exes, but I call it Exes
Well, the
because
domain we have is
yeah,
Exes.
because we couldn't have Exes. Andrea and I used to be married, and
To each other.
to each other, and we have a child together who's amazing and just turned 17, and I guess unlike a lot of people who are not longer together, who are no longer together, we talk a lot. We talk very frequently about all sorts of stuff. Andrea's very interested in rocks lately. I'm sure she'll talk to you about that.
What
But
does that have to do with anything?
well, it's just I mean, it's a thing we've talked a lot about.
I don't think we've talked nearly as much about rocks as you seem to make it seem like make.
Yeah, but we have.
It must be really tedious for you to mention it so
Oh
often.
no, I've only mentioned it twice, but I mean, it's not tedious for me, but it is funny because it is the rocks that we're talking about are a tangible thing that aren't are done a disservice with photography or whatever over the internet. I think if I were actually there, it would be much more compelling. You know what I mean?
I
And
see, yes.
but I'm not. What I'm trying to say is, I believe you're seeing what you're seeing in the rocks.
Wow, this is getting weirder and weirder.
This is like WXPN's experimental radio project,
I have
except we're not high and there's no hydrox.
No, I mean, I'm finding out that you actually don't believe me nearly as much as you.
What?
I can't
I
find
never
where.
said that. I said exactly the opposite of that.
No, I mean, I didn't understand that. Here it is. I found it. I didn't understand that I had to be taken on faith.
Well, no, I didn't. Hold on. This is
It's
here. Anybody here, people listening to this, feel free to jump in because I don't think that's how it sounds at all. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I believed you to begin with, but the things that you're seeing in the stones are, would be really, I think, quite stunning in person, and I'm not afforded that opportunity over the internet. Is my point.
Uh, oh, sorry.
What is happening over there?
I am trying to see this on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
is it like a minute and a half delayed?
and I have found it. What did you just ask? What?
Is it delayed by like a minute and a half?
No, it's delayed by like maybe 4 or 5 seconds, something like that. 3, 4, 5.
Okay, yeah, Matt. We're just talking about whatever. And if we have focused topics, that's certainly not going to happen today.
Hi, Orville. Oh my gosh, hi. Okay, wait. I'm catching up here. Freeform. No, I don't. I don't imagine that this will just be freeform chat eventually. This is why I wanted you to explain it, Chris.
I just did. Oh, I mean, we talk all the time. That's the thing. So, Andrea and I, for some reason, tend to be up at the same time. Like just the way that my body works, I wake up every couple of hours, and I either read news or get up and work. And since I was young, I've always found it very much more interesting and easy to work on things that are important to me in the middle of the night because there are very few distractions. And what's funny is Andrea's up at those same times, so we end up talking about like what I'm working on or what she's working on, and we've done this for years at this point because we separated 15 years ago, which is shocking. So like it seemed to make sense that we would try to do something with these conversations, which are wide ranging and generally pretty interesting.
That's totally not what I think of it at all.
And and this is what you get when you ask me to explain it.
This lighter isn't working either. Can you hear me clicking the lighter?
It sounds like you have a first world problem in a third world country.
Would you expect a third world country to not have lighters?
I would expect them to have matches that worked really well.
There are lots and lots of lighters here. Yes, I'm still in Costa Rica, whoever asked that. And yes, Trashcanistan is totally still a thing.
What is Trashcanistan?
I can't reach that deep into my...
Then how do you know it's still a thing?
Because Trashcanistan exists outside of the universe in which they know it, too.
Okay.
Trashcanistan is something I made up at NPR. And I bet you can guess when. And it's not supposed to be about Afghanistan. Trashcanistan has always been a non-real nation state.
Everybody's scrambling to see which of the stands it's about now.
It is not.
I know.
Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan.
By the way, I already mentioned this to you, but Pat Robertson has died.
Yes.
And I'm surprised he made it this long.
Oh, yeah. Karoga is birds, right? And whose is Kurdistan? Arabic? Sorry. It's so weird. You must all have like alarms for me coming on YouTube because I literally have not been. I haven't seen anybody's streams. In like seriously 2 years. It's been since maybe since like early 2021 maybe. Anyway, okay. Let me rewind my head. Okay. I actually want to start doing this again because I want to indoctrinate the world with my big ideas. With this big important idea really that I have. And I also believe part of that big like new way of thinking about the world includes the belief that what are you laughing at?
Nothing.
That the new way of the world is that, like the 20th century and especially media became all about sort of top-down centralized control. We're going to do a show. So let's sit down and plan it for like a year and a half and find the perfect hosts and write scripts and all this shit.
Yeah.
And the world doesn't work that way anymore. And I'm glad of it. And the way things work now is you start and grow wings after jumping off the cliff kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I changed the ticker to say ask Andrea about the stream experience.
What's that?
It's what you told me the other day about your experience in a stream.
No, River. No.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, it was a river. Oh, my God.
Well, we happen to be streaming right now on StreamYard.
I know. That's what makes it funny.
That's what makes it incomprehensible. Okay, so here's the fun thing about doing a talky thing. Well, about talking to your ex. Okay?
Here's the fun thing. Okay, no.
Well, I mean, you put it so beautifully once when you said to Fifi, I think, Fifi, our kid, that we grew. What was it? We grew into
A friendship.
a friendship. Yeah, that's what happened to our marriage.
Matt knows me.
And one great thing we found now that, and there were definitely rocky moments like when we actually separated and stuff. It's not like been like this the whole time, but having one of your best friends be somebody that you used to be married to turns out to be really handy for like hardcore honesty, because like you've already divorced this person. There's not much that you can, what I mean, that you can say that would make it any worse.
You basically now have infinite runway.
Yeah, right. It's like there's no reason either of us couldn't just be like, screw you, Buster. Goodbye. Hi, Matthew. Summer camp. You're not going to summer camp? You have to go lead it? That's terrible. Matthew's awesome. All of these people are awesome. All of the awesome people are here. They must have had the little bell. Like and subscribe and hit that bell icon thing. Alarm whoosy schwa. I really need somebody to catch me up on the world. Like Aravik says, anti-trekker is now salty trekker. And that makes a lot of sense.
That makes it sound like they're actually a trekker who's just salty.
I think that is true. Anti-trekker was never anti-trek. I don't think.
Funny handle for somebody who's not anti-trek.
Which is hence the salty trekker. Somebody just put something that says how Bird and Captain Trek and all of the people are.
What do you mean somebody just put something?
Somebody write something in the chat. That's what I mean. Somebody update me real quick. I don't, Matthew, I don't think that the bell is automatic. I think you must have chosen an alarm for me.
Matt, I muted and coughed into my elbow, so I hope you saw that.
Oh my gosh, we have two Matts. We have a Matt and a Matthew. This is crazy. All the people. The ones.
So for some reason, I can't share a picture there. Or there must be a way to share a picture.
No, I don't think you can share pictures in the chat. I think it's a
right. So security. Say this. That is the air quality in Baltimore now because of the Canadian fires, and it is 335, which is awful. Let me zoom out to let you see what the rest of the country looks like.
I find that number meaningless.
Yeah?
Yeah, I need to know what the scale is.
It's out of 500. Yeah, Fifi just wrote, "Are you okay? I've been seeing stuff about smoke."
We've gone down to one viewer.
Yeah, who can blame them?
That can't be true.
It can be.
No, it can't be.
I'm telling Fifi I'm fine, but it's not. It's bad. But not that bad.
Fifi is actually like
right next to you.
I actually spent months so Matthew says I spent months refusing to watch any of his videos. I think that his must be salty trekker, anti-trekker, because of his name, but they kept popping up in my feed. I missed those objective, subjective reviews he used to put out. Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Send her this thing.
Captain Trek doesn't do morning brew anymore. Okay. He was on and off doing it back when I was around, and he's now known as Captain Fandom Nerd. All right. I guess everybody kind of wanted to have more of a spectrum of subjects than
Well,
Star Trek.
I mean, well, who knows? I mean, Star Trek's great, but why don't we just talk? Let's talk about something. What have we been talking about lately? We've been talking about UFOs, and that guy,
Yeah.
little point counterpoint.
What guy?
The guy whose name is the whistleblower guy, whose name is like Grush or something.
What's an audio avatar?
That's like boom, 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 right? Like the Intel Inside audio thing.
I think it actually means the picture, and they're just calling it the audio
Oh,
avatar.
oh,
Yeah.
it's because the picture is when you talk, it swells with your amplitude.
Oh, I see.
You know.
Yeah. You mean Greer? Who's Greer?
I guess the person you were talking about.
Oh, the UFO guy.
No, no, not that person. No, okay, hold on. Hang on. Vanity Fair has an article today about why the Post and the New York Times did not publish anything about that article.
And what do I bet they say exactly what I said?
What did you say?
I said because the article is misleading because it conflates the guy's testimony about the cover up with the guy's assertion of there being evidence of UFOs.
I mean, it's interesting. That's not, I don't know if that's why. So apparently they took it to the Times and the Times just turned it down flatly while the Post wants to hammer out the facts. And apparently the Post is going to release a story on Sunday about it. But so the guy's name is David Grush, Grusch. And it's interesting. I sent this Fox News report. I'm not a fan of Fox, but I sent this Fox News report to Dimitri just because there's an interesting moment in it where.
What's the article in again? It's in some dumb.
Well, it's in the debrief, but it's written by people who were the people who exposed the Pentagon's secret UFO program in the New York Times. Remember when those Tic Tac videos came out, where they were, the guys who were flying and had this on their, infrared FLIR cameras, forward-looking infrared camera. Were like, what the hell is that? And they were talking about how fast it was going and everything. And they were really impressed by it and how it didn't seem to have any sort of heat signature or anything, but and they were having trouble tracking it. And those videos got released, and then these people put out this article in the New York Times about this secret Pentagon unidentified aerial phenomena program, and then the Navy came out and said that this was true. These videos were real, and the Pentagon admitted the program existed. So, I mean, it's interesting because the people who wrote it who ended up giving it to the debrief are, real people, like serious people with real sources and everything. And there was an interesting quote in here.
Can I say?
Yeah, please.
We've known for a long time that the government has these programs. And of course they have to, because China has these programs,
Well,
because North Korea has it, because if you've got like real physicists saying we're not alone in the universe,
mm-hmm.
and the possibility, especially in the minds of people who are not physicists but career military or career civil service, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got these people, you've got them thinking, well, there's some chance that there could be, something could fall to Earth. Well, we've got to get to it first, because the first person who gets to it, the first nation that gets to it, is going to reverse engineer whatever this weird material is, or craft, or whatever the hell.
Sure.
And have an incredible um, you know, advantage of force and knowledge. Um, right? So we've known that they've had those programs. None of that asserts in any way that there has ever been any evidence
Sure.
of anything.
Yeah, but hold on. So Grush's complaint that he's whistleblowing about, and that he's going to be talking directly to Congress about with some other experts, apparently in a few weeks, is that there are legacy programs that have been concealed within multiple agencies, nesting UAP activities in conventional secret access programs without appropriate reporting to various oversight authorities, which is something you and I have talked about and bothered me.
Where
What I
is that
sent
in this article? Look at
that's
this.
this is in the Fox News article,
Oh,
which
so
is
read that sentence again a little slower.
okay. Grush told the debrief that UFO, quote, legacy programs, end quote, have long been concealed within multiple agencies, nesting UAP activities in conventional secret access programs without appropriate reporting to various oversight authorities.
None of that is controversial. Congress hasn't wanted to know about any of it.
Well, that's not true. Congress has wanted to know about it for a couple of years now.
A couple of years. But I mean, none of what that sentence is controversial.
Well, hold on. What I wanted to read was that on
Gotcha.
Tuesday, Fox News Digital spoke to 3 different people, 2 experts and a journalist who backed Grush's claims. And the only reason I'm saying this is because there are plenty of people in the
His
debrief
claim,
article and outside that are saying, "Listen, this seems sensational. We're telling you he's telling the truth."
no, but see, here's the thing. None of that is even sensational. That in that sentence, there is nothing there that says that anyone has ever
Hold on.
seen or recovered anything. That is wholly about a program.
Hang on. I mean, I think you're taking that sentence out of the context of the idea that this guy is saying, "Look, there are vehicles that we have recovered and we're reverse engineering them." And he is saying, which I've said to you too,
It
that
doesn't say that.
it says that in the debrief article.
Well, I have it on the screen now.
Yeah, then go ahead and read
And I
it.
do have, it does say here in this graph, right? Okay, so real quick.
Hang on, I've made this too small for me to read. Go ahead.
So this bothers me about this story. The headline: Intelligence officials say U.S. has retrieved craft of non-human origin. Right?
Uh-huh.
Is that what? That's not what the story is about. Okay, because the
What?
first the what?
Sorry, something just started playing music for me.
Oh, okay. So the first graph is there's this guy who says there's a program.
Mm-hmm.
Extensive classified information about deeply covert programs, not information about a craft, information about deeply covert programs
That possess retrieved
that
intact.
he says
Sure.
possess retrieved intact. Okay. The information has been illegally held. He filed a complaint about the illegal retaliation for his disclosures. Other intelligence with knowledge of these programs through their work in various agents have independently provided similar corroborating information.
Right.
Now, this sentence, similar corroborating information of what? That there are programs or that there are fucking aliens in the sky, right? Then there's the whistleblower paragraph here. It's like, oh, he's the greatest person in the world to talk about all this, right? Then a picture. Then the task force. So we're talking about that
You're being
program.
extremely glib about this.
Yes, the task force was established. So the program was established to investigate UFOs. Now they're called UAPs.
Which we both agree should exist, right? Because it would be like a dereliction of duty to not investigate these things if people are saying they're happening.
I never said it should. I have
Well,
said
I'm
it
saying it should.
absolutely does, and
Yeah.
that's non-controversial.
I agree with that.
Okay, it's been organized recently to include all these other things. Then we get back to this guy, right?
Mhm.
He says that there have been partial fragments up to intact vehicles have been made for decades.
Mhm.
Um, they've been they're of exotic origin, non-human intelligence, whether extraterrestrial or what the fuck would sorry, what the fuck would non-human intelligence be if it weren't extraterrestrial?
Well, I mean, it could be a non-human intelligence on Earth that we're unaware of. It could be some sort of artificial intelligence. Who knows? That actually seems like something you'd appreciate.
No, no, because why are they using the term exotic origin, and then they explain it as non-human intelligence, and then they give you the option of either extraterrestrial or unknown origin, which means it's unknown. It's just
unknown. It's unknown, but non-human is the point.
it's they're just trying to get the word extraterrestrial in. Whether extraterrestrial or unknown, it is, they're saying they don't know. Then this based on the vehicle morphologies. Vehicle morphologies?
What's wrong with vehicle morphologies?
If they have, it's so strange.
It is
to
strange.
put it this way. It is absolutely. I mean, then okay,
Well,
okay.
Hold on. I want to stop you for 1 second. I also want to say that everything that's in this article that this guy said has been approved by the Department of Defense. So it's entirely possible that it has to be worded in a
Has been
specific way.
approved that he can say it,
Yes.
not approved that it is true.
Okay.
Absolutely huge difference there.
Sure.
And he is saying that analysis. Okay, here's the thing. There's a logic tree here, right? You recover fragments of things and even intact vehicles, right?
Mhm.
And he says that the objects are of exotic origin, right? How would you know that they are not made by humans in the first place? Because you don't know what you do know that other nation states are desperately always trying to make stuff you don't understand and send it over your country, but you don't know exactly what they have and what they don't have. So how would you know that they are of exotic origin, and how would exotic origin necessarily mean non-human intelligence, whether that's extraterrestrial or unknown, which makes no sense?
First of all, that's not true.
What is it?
Whether extraterrestrial or unknown makes perfect sense.
Extraterrestrial is unknown origin.
No, extraterrestrial means out of this world.
Right. What else could it be?
It could be something in this world. It could be something terrestrial that is unknown.
Extraterrestrial is unknown.
Yeah, but extraterrestrial means aliens in this context. Come on.
And what would unknown be? Not aliens?
Well, we don't have. What's the word for something that we don't know that's terrestrial?
Okay, let me just make my point here.
Okay.
Look at the headline. Intelligence officials say U.S. has retrieved craft of non-human origin.
Yep. Okay.
Now we'll look at the article. Is that what this article is about? This article is about like 3 different things at the same time. Look, we are not talking about prosaic origins or identities, Grish said, referencing information he provided Congress and the current ICIG. The material include intact parts. Okay, so this guy, so if people go on and read this, what you'll see is that almost all the corroboration of these very important, very real people are corroborating, like they do at the top, that there has been a secret program, not that there has been alien vehicles crashing on Earth.
Mario's calling you. No, I really think that you're being quite disingenuous here.
No, me? I'm not being disingenuous.
Yeah, you are, because
No,
I feel like this is.
that
I
would
feel like
mean
this is
that
an
I'm
example.
making up what I'm saying. I'm not.
Well, no, I mean, you're divorcing what has been said, that there are programs. You're basically saying, he's saying there are programs, and I don't argue with the idea there are programs, but they're purposefully not saying the programs exist to exploit and examine non-human origin material, and that is what the guy's saying. And you seem to be
Wait, say
saying
that
that's
again.
not
Say
what
that
he's
again.
saying.
Say it again.
The guy is saying very clearly there are legacy programs inside the government and with contractors that exist to examine and exploit and reverse engineer non-human intelligent
Yeah.
things, and um, and that those things exist and they are examining them.
Those are two different things. The programs have existed, the Area 51, all of that stuff. There's a lot of truth in
See,
it because the
it would be
programs have
stupid.
existed.
Hold on. It would be stupid to have if the programs existed and didn't have anything to examine, who would care? Because of course that should exist. That's not a problem. It's not if there's nothing to hide, there's not a problem. This is what's weird about this, right?
But
Like,
okay, so you can't take lack of evidence as evidence.
I'm not that's not
Yeah,
what
I
I
feel
think
like
is
that's what.
happening.
Well,
Oh,
I'm not being.
Yitze just said, "Oh, look who's alive."
I tried to talk to you, Yitza. um, no, I mean you can't. I'm not reading any comments right now because I'm
Yeah, no,
so.
I know we're focused on this thing, but that's what I'm
So,
saying. Like, this impasse that we keep coming to, where it's like this guy has, for whatever reason, he is whistleblowing on this thing that he thinks is a problem, and
wait,
it's
sorry.
wait,
What is he whistleblowing on?
he's whistleblowing on the idea that there are programs that are studying these non-human origin
Programs whose
objects,
mission is to, yes.
and they are not reporting to Congress about them. That they are being siloed and being secret, and
Yep.
and decided that the only people who know about these are on a need to know basis, which is not how Congress works, right?
Yeah, sort of.
Well, it's not supposed to work that way. I mean, if they're in charge of the budget, at least a subset of Congress is allowed to understand everything that's going on.
Maybe.
That's the way it works.
I mean, it's an executive. No, it's an executive branch agency. So there's messiness here, but I mean, because there's black budgets, there's a lot of stuff Congress doesn't get to know unless you are in the intelligence committees and at a certain rank.
Sure, but the people in the intelligence committee don't know about this, and this is
Right.
why this has all been happening. This is why they made
none of that is controversial. None of it is controversial.
Right. This is
what is controversial is that the programs have found anything that is identifiable as being from a non-human intelligence, because we
agree that that's controversial.
You can't prove I mean, like, what would make you? It would have to take something incredibly strange for any credible scientist to say that a material or even pieces of vehicle are definitely from non-human intelligence, because they don't know what other nations have, and they do know that other nations are constantly trying to make things that we don't understand. So why would you default? Why would you? So why would you default to it being from a non-human intelligence? And why wouldn't we see these things? Why would only the government and contractors ever be recovering these things? Because if it is a non-human intelligence from outer space somewhere, they don't give a shit about the government and who knows down here. Why don't I run into them? Why doesn't anybody else? I mean, it's just silly to default to that position.
But I don't think it has defaulted to that position. There are only three options here. One is that what the guy is saying is actually the truth. One is that it's part of a psychological operation and this is a big manipulation. And one is that the guy has it wrong.
No, there's more options.
What are the other options?
This guy believes what he's saying, definitely, and thinks that the evidence that he has seen is enough to release to Congress and for people to act on, and the other people around him don't. And so he's frustrated because he thinks everybody should know this, and the other people have, in my opinion, more sturdy logic than he
Right.
does.
But there are also many people who are, again, I'm calling him a serious person because of the roles he has held and the things that he has done and the access he has had. And there are other
Although there are
people.
lots of bozos in government, even in
Hold
good
on,
positions.
stop,
But I
please stop.
understand. Yes, sorry. Go ahead. Yes.
But there are many other people who are saying, look, this is right. This is the truth. He's telling you the truth.
Who are these many other people?
Read the fucking article.
Okay. I am looking at the fucking article, and we have
Christopher Mellon.
Christopher Mellon.
Here, read that. Read what he says.
He says he's talking about the alleged program, including insights into the history, governing documents, location where a craft was allegedly abandoned and recovered.
Right.
However, it's a delicate matter, getting this potentially explained in the right hands, validation. This is made harder by the fact that do not blah, blah. Okay. So he's saying allegedly abandoned and recovered.
Sure.
And John, so, and then we have this guy who, right, who says the phenomenon is real. This is the only guy who really backs up the alien thing.
Well, he's not the only guy. That other guy from Stanford backed it up, and you were like, he's an immunologist. He doesn't know anything.
No, in this article.
Okay.
He's the only guy in this article. And by the way, let's just quickly look at the front page of the debrief.
The thing on the left is absolutely true.
Yes. Let's talk about what they're covering and how, though.
Oh, hold on. You should instead be talking about the pedigree of the people who wrote the article and not the fact that it's in the debrief.
No, I think, I mean, okay, we should talk about both. Okay. We should talk about both, though. But, I just want to say this is a site whose aim is to report on these things, right?
Yeah.
And then, okay, so we'll look at.
It's the two people. It's a man and a woman at the top. Or did you want to keep going through the article?
There's all these people.
Go to the top.
Here, their investigative process. Okay, Leslie Keene and Ralph Blumenthal, who have no.
Well, they are the same people, like I said, who wrote the Times article that exposed the UAP program. I have to keep making this bigger so I can see it.
Oh, Tom Keene.
Oh, was she married to Tom Keene?
No, she's the her uncle was Tom Keene, the Jersey governor.
By the way, do you want to hear something completely unrelated? That's just
she was on Pacifica.
So what? She's crazy? Is that what you're saying?
She's hardcore left wing.
Okay. That doesn't mean she's not a good reporter.
No, it just means she's a UFO person.
Okay.
It means she's got the chops to cover the government and policy side. But it's all going to be,
from her perspective.
From this perspective of total dismissal of any
this is interesting.
Total dismissal of like any credibility in the defense structure and the Department of Defense.
Do you see the book from 2010 where with the forward by Podesta, generals, pilots, and government officials go on the record about UFOs? Look up Ralph Blumenthal.
Whoa. Staff reporter for the New York Times from 1964 to 2009.
Jesus.
He wrote something about this guy, John Mack. And he wrote something with apparently his wife.
Oh, my friend sent me something yesterday. Can I just interject for a second?
Yeah, you want me to stop?
No,
this?
no, it's fine. But I want to talk about something else briefly. It's just,
Okay, sure.
he sent me this quote. It is understood that Mr. Trump's last White House chief of staff, Mark Meadows, has agreed to plead guilty to several lesser federal crimes in exchange for his testimony under a limited grant of immunity.
Testimony against Trump?
Yeah. Interesting.
Weird. Did he get a Guggenheim?
Apparently.
Yeah.
2001. I mean, is that a serious person?
The staff reporter for that long is interesting to me.
Does that mean because a positive or a negative? Like when you see that, does it make you think?
Oh, I've met this guy.
Okay. What was your sense of him?
I feel like you can look at him and know exactly who he is.
It's UFOs, like Exes.
Oh, yeah, like Exes.
Exes.
I mean, this book, the Believer book up here is a bio. It's a biography. This guy, John Mack. He's a New York literati kind of guy.
What about the guy? Who's the guy who's been who did the interview with this guy? The video interview that was on. First of all, what the fuck is News Nation? Have you heard of that before?
No.
I'd never heard of it, and they okay. Let's see what did they say about it?
Okay, now I need to go look at the comments for a second. Keep going.
Yeah. So News Nation is an American subscription television network owned by Nexstar Media Group and is the company's only wholly owned national cable-originated television channel. It runs a straight news format for 24 hours on weekdays and 8 hours on weekends, as well as entertainment program consisting of comedy and drama series and theatrical feature films. Taking up almost the entire weekend, known for most of its history as Superstation WGN before becoming WGN America.
Why are we listening to this?
I'm mentioning this because they are the people who did the video interview with that Grush guy, and I'm trying to remember who was the person who interviewed him. So hang on.
Hi, Professor Brady Specs. Hi, Bird of Prey. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we're here. I can't believe I'm here. Hi. I had to go all the way back to Arabic saying Cylons. Kapla, kapla,
Kaplak.
It's not. There's no K at the end.
I know, but I always think it's a kaplak.
I think actually though the apostrophe is kind of a glottal stop, right? Kaplak, kaplak, kaplak. You know, glottal stop.
Yeah. So
you've had this tab open in your browser for 3 days. The article. Okay, good. All right. PJ. Okay. Hi, everybody. And Yitzhak. Oh, look, he's alive. Hello, Yitzhak. I do. Do you? No, I tried to talk to you, Yitzhak. And I told you I couldn't talk to you if you were going to be demeaning. And you wouldn't promise that you wouldn't be.
Here's the guy. What's the guy's name?
Okay, I need to catch up on what Bird is saying. Okay, didn't the article open with a quote from a guy who said he had personal knowledge of non-human crime? Yeah, basically the headline says one thing, but then the article I really think conflates two entirely different things. I think that's part of the problem with it. We know no nation has the capability to do warp engines or material that can't be found in nature enough to build a craft. I don't know what it means, materials that can't be found in nature. I guess you mean materials that we haven't found.
You're talking to the group.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm talking to Bird of Prey. I'm going back and talking about comments that were 20 minutes ago. So Bird is saying, we do know that no nation has the capability to make warp engines or materials atoms that can't be found in nature enough to build a craft.
But Andrea would say
We
we don't know that.
that. We
Right,
don't know that.
Yeah, I agree with Bird of Prey, and you were like, no, we don't know that.
And then he says Russia or China may have something 10 or 20 years more advanced, but not 500 years. I don't think you know what that timeline is. I don't think you know what is a 10 or 20-year advance versus a 500-year advance. And then Brainy says extraordinary claims require extraordinary. Okay, Mountains of Elysium. Hello again. He came back. Okay, greetings. Brainy says, wait, I am not left wing, but I want to believe. Yes. There's nothing, I'm just saying that reporter happens to have had a particularly left wing career. That says nothing about her credibility on UFOs.
Yeah, who's
LDG?
Ross? What do you know about Ross Coulthart?
He's got a name like he's in fanfic. Right? No one's named Ross Coulthart.
It's not Coldheart. Hold on. It's
Coulthart.
C O U L T.
He's got the heart of a
Yeah,
Colt.
hold on. It's this. It's here.
Hi, LDG. Wait, I saw somebody else just came in too.
Coulthart.
Deej. Hi, Deej.
Oh, yes. So it's Andrea Seabrook. I'm Andrea Seabrook in this exchange.
What? Where?
I just posted something into the thing, and it says I'm you, which is funny.
Oh, because you're an admin in the StreamYard thing, right? Yeah. Oh. I don't know anything about this person who with the fanfic name.
Okay. We should look him up.
Why? Make your point.
Because I want to see how credible he is. I'm just curious.
I'm being what's it called again? Spoofed?
Something. I'll be right back. All right. I'll be right back.
Why? Where are you going?
I need to use the bathroom.
No, that's not allowed.
I'll be right back.
Just because hi, Mark Krell. Just because the Americans as well as the Russians never understood how Die Glock works, I mean the Americans stole the prototype and crashed it in Roswell. I don't know what Die Glock is. To be clear, everybody, in case you didn't know, this is my ex-husband, Chris. My phone is ringing. And I am we fight about this stuff because I just don't think I think extraordinary statements require extraordinary evidence, and I think it's awfully hard to say what's even a even a material we haven't seen before is hard to prove that it's not something that another nation did. And I think it's far more likely that Elon Musk and China are putting stuff up into the air, right? I think one of the few ways that you could really question whether something was derived by non-human intelligence would be if it showed us all at once other dimensions, or perhaps had a really super whacked out radiological signature. But like things that we find from space that crash into the Earth. Okay, technology that is faster, cleaner, lighter than what we have now is fine, but if we can beam something across the planet, that is not possible with current human tech. I don't see, I mean, I see what you're saying, Bert, right? That it really seems like we can't. Um, and yes, the next thing you say about no nation could build enough atoms of an element not on the periodic table is what I'm saying, right? But that that no one could in our physical environment either, unless the laws of physics are broke, quasi broken for us, which would be um, not it wouldn't be able to exist. It would immediately degrade and be undetectable unless it were in some dimensional bubble, which is what I mean about like showing dimensions. The tech to build the tech needed to build the tech needed doesn't even exist yet. Um, the laws of physics as we know them don't allow for it. So it would those are the only kinds of things that would um, make that would change the equation of logic here. That would change the logical tree, because um, it is just not sound to default to things being from outer space when you have no evidence of things, other evidence of things coming from outer space, except those that have been recovered and concealed by the government. Occam's razor says it's far more likely to be something made here on Earth. we, um, laws of physics certainly allow for new stable elements to be found. Stable at our physical environment, at our temperature, pressure. I mean, we create new elements all the time, and we find new elements all the time, but not ones that um, exist in our. Yeah, you have to have a collider um, or something. And that means that if something were made of those things, they couldn't exist in our physical environment. They would immediately degrade, as they do in super colliders, or at close to absolute zero, at 0 Kelvin, right? Or any of the other ways that we tend to what?
I'm nothing. It's stupid. It's totally stupid.
No, tell me.
I was just thinking of a character named 0 Kelvin. It's just like, it's like
really, really cold.
Yeah,
really,
it's just,
like
or just doesn't know anything, right? It's just, oh, that's just 0 Kelvin, right? Like, I don't know, or like yeah, like a character named Neutral Gina.
Neutral Gina.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm
I
on the
like
fence
both
about
Trump and
it.
Obama.
Yeah, what could go wrong?
Like the only one in the world. Oh, Kelvin timeline. That's a Trek thing, right? With Spock and the. No, Kelvin is 0 Kelvin is absolute zero. It's the temperature at which atoms stop moving their electrons, and we've never, you can't reach that because the universe would be frozen. But we get close to it. It's I think Kelvin is what? It's Celsius minus 273 degrees or something like that. Yeah, Mountains of Elysium saying some of the table of elements may be stable if they could be manipulated in the fourth spatial dimension, but we can't perceive it. It may be possible for humans or operating blind. Yes, exactly. The it would, if we were to find something that suddenly exposed other dimensions to us, or similar, like entirely laws of physics changing for us or revealing, then I would feel as though you might logically default to it being from non-human intelligence, but um, but cool things in the air that seem to turn left and right at right angles really fast and go into water and have no friction. That to me sounds like shit we've been working on for a long time. Satellite and UAV assisted holographic or other drone technology, Why are you giving me that look? Why would you default to something that you see on a video being from fucking outer space?
I'm not default. Are you talking about me?
Yes, you.
I was wondering if you saw the look because I was like,
I saw your damn look.
well, because I think that you're being adamantly skeptical, which is admirable, and at the same time, it's just like the idea. The idea that these are holograms, or that we actually, that this is our stuff and we know what it is, but we're not telling people about it, which is fine. I can understand that. It's just like it. I think that whatever the actual truth of this stuff is, it's probably a lot weirder than we're expecting, and the things that we have to situate with it, the context that we're used to, or just because of limited vocabulary and limited understanding of everything. It's probably, whatever it is, it's probably a lot weirder than we think, and it's probably, the idea that it's aliens is probably a very pat thing, but the idea that it's non-human is not, right? Like, I don't know. I believe that if we had these capabilities and we were using them for things strategically, there would be evidence of that, considering all of the armed conflicts that we've been in and generated all around the world. It just seems, I know everything we know is probably 30 years late, and I get that. And at the same time, it makes sense to me that if there were things that were extraordinary and you were able to have access to them and try to reverse engineer them, you would have an unbelievable strategic advantage, and the amount of money that you could make from such things is also astronomical. So I don't have
Yeah,
trouble believing that somebody knows something about this. It is extraordinary, and
it's a
that
total no-brainer that the programs exist.
yeah.
Totally.
But the idea that the programs exist and that, like, that they're just looking but haven't found anything is kind of crazy.
Well,
That's
they
what
put
science fiction.
people on LSD in dunk tanks.
Sure.
They made LSD, right? Or something like that. They like as
They
truth
didn't make
serum.
LSD.
They
No.
do all kinds of fucking shit.
Yeah, sure. They did a lot of horrible shit, but that's not
No,
really
they
what we're talking
continue to
about.
do all kinds of crazy things because if it seems possible, not probable, possible that some rando thing exists, they have to know. And they have to be the first ones to use it, right? It's that whole thing. So of course they have, they're running around looking at flying tic tacs or whatever.
There was this thing. Let's see if I can find it.
Also, can I just take a little side spur trail here and mention that I don't like this whole using years as units of advancement in technology, because technology does not advance that way. It doesn't. It's like 30 years of advancing technology does not mean like we're not 30 years ahead of 30 years ago, if you know what I mean. Because technology and human knowledge advances in crazy leapfrogs. It goes all over the place. We have huge revelations and then nothings for a long time, depending on like what kinds of research we fund and things that we pay attention to and what humans are interested in at any given time. And the reason why that matters, it seems like it's just quibbling, but the reason it matters is because when you put it in those terms, it tends to make you think like your technology is necessarily always progressing, like in a sort of positive progressional way. And that's not necessarily true. It's not even necessarily progressing in an ideal, like an ideation way. Like certainly you need the knowledge you have to have the next idea, but you haven't always explored the knowledge, quote unquote, behind you when you go on to the next possible idea. You know what I mean?
Because that would take too long.
No, because it's just that progress as a timeline idea is different from the progress of humanity. And when you put those two things together, you tend to think that where you are now is the best place you could be because it's the most it's the vanguard, it's the most you've progressed to here, and that's not necessarily true. Does that make sense? Am I making sense now? So I don't like to think in terms of being 30 years behind or ahead.
Well, I just mean humanity. I don't mean I mean people who are not in the know. Right? Like, I mean, imagine how old the stealth bomber was when we found out about it.
Right. I still don't want to put it in terms of years of progression.
Well, that's fine. That's okay. I remember I posted this link that I saw. I guess it was from 11 years ago or 11 months ago that somebody made a Freedom of Information request for recovered UAP materials being studied in Las Vegas. And
in Las Vegas.
Yeah, and they were answered with 154 pages. Those pages are five of things that were commissioned that have already been released. Nonetheless, the response is interesting. The titles are metallic classes, biomaterials, materials for advanced aerospace platforms, metallic spintronics, and metamaterials for aerospace applications. I just thought that was interesting that they made a request for this and it was answered with a bunch of stuff.
I'm surprised by how few documents they got, because usually when they don't want to, and FOIA requsts, it's classic to get to get like either 1 page, half or 3/4 redacted, or like 27 boxes of documents that are like the lunch order for the NASA team. I'm serious.
That's hilarious. Yeah, Joe sent his order back twice because he was unhappy with the quality of
Joe didn't ask for rye bread. He wanted white. Right.
It makes sense. Andrea Seabrook wants to make technology great again.
I think technology is great. I'm a big fan of human knowledge. I just don't I don't believe in progress anymore. What do you
believe in instead of progress?
I don't believe in the teleology here. I don't believe that we are at
here. For those of us in the back of the room, let's talk about teleology. What is that?
Teleology is the idea that
hold on. Okay, let's go. Go ahead. Give me the teleology.
Oh my God, you're annoying. Okay.
We're not married. We're not married.
No, thank God.
We're just normal men.
Okay. Here we go. Teleology, the explanation of phenomena in terms of the purpose they serve rather than the cause by which they arise. Okay. So, in other words, okay. That explanation of it is kind of saying, like, when you say birds have wings so they can fly, that is not the way evolution works. Evolution does not say, oh, this mouse wants to fly, so let's make it a bat and grow it wings.
Sure. Don't all the other ones that didn't have wings died?
It's something about what it needed to reproduce and eat at any given time required that buds started to come out of its sides, and then that it So when you phrase it the opposite way, you make yourself kind of think in this goal-oriented way. So the same phenomenon happens with history like all the fucking time, and with technology. It's we say things like you know, they did punch cards, because they were going to create personal computing or whatever. The point being, a technology is not necessarily, and humans are not necessarily at their most advanced state of being because of the things that came before it. There's no arrow here. The arrow of history doesn't exist. History is a blob. It's a messy,
The blob of history.
it's a messy rolling scrum. Um,
I hate those orderly scrums. It's really.
and so,
So yeah, I just want to say this is interesting because I think a lot of people have bastardized the idea of survival of the fittest, meaning brawn, right? But that's not it at all.
it does not mean that at all.
No, it means that that's the whole thing. If I understand this correctly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's like everything gets mutated. Some of those mutations are advantageous and some are not. And the ones that are advantageous to the situation will thrive, and the ones that are not will die. And that's the idea of fitness in that instance. So like giraffes get long necks because the food they're trying to eat is very high up. And so only the ones who are able to reach it can survive. Right.
Okay, so just think about the individual, right? An individual giraffe is slightly taller than his brother, and manages to get a few more leaves in that generation, right? And so doesn't have
giraffes pregnant.
Yeah, right, and doesn't have is a little teeny bit better nourished.
Yeah.
And so it makes a little bit more sperm, right? Gets a few more, pause pregnancies, and then in the next generation, there are a few more babies that are slightly taller, and that just, happens until there isn't the advantage out of being taller, right? So there are these right it's about the turn of the 18th century, 19th, right at the sort of the beginning of the Industrial Revolution in Northern England, right? When they started building these big coal plants for steam powered like cotton gins and stuff. There is a species of moth that lived in the New Forest just north of like the Manchester Bolton area. That the trees had pretty kind of light speckled birch colored bark, and there's a moth that was perfectly kind of mimicked that bark, right?
Right.
And as soon as they started burning this coal for the Industrial Revolution, like day after day, the trees got ash on them, and the trees themselves ended up being darker and darker. And early biologists, this is near the beginning of the idea of evolution in the first place, right? Started to notice that the moths all turned dark. And so it was a kind of a hyper evolution going on in a and that happens in a microbiome, right? Like a micro ecosystem here, and it was just very clearly that suddenly dark trees with light moths meant birds could eat them. Birds could find them and eat them more easily, and the more white ones were eaten, and there happened to be enough of a sort of residual darker gene, right? That the few that were slightly darker than the white of the birch trees weren't eaten as often. They weren't picked off as often by the birds. And then the next generation and the next generation, and suddenly over the course of like 15, 20 years, an entire population of moths turns its whole biological morphology, the outer, shell of its phenotype from white to black. It's amazing.
It is amazing.
Now, what you were saying, fitness can mean that. It can mean ability to mimic, ability to camouflage. It can mean strength and brawn. It can mean, in the case of humans, one of the biggest things that we evolved was the ability to believe, the concept of belief. In other words, not very many other animals, for example, can be. So it's not so okay. Birds may migrate, so that they go from one tree that is blooming and putting off a species of berry to another, and follow a trail, right? But that's encoded in ways that we don't totally understand because they've got like magnetic genes and blah, 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 right? But it's not, it's encoded in their genome somehow, right? Humans can be told, in 3 months, that bush over there is going to have berries on it.
Mm.
And they can believe that that will be so and have seen it even when it's not true right now. That ability to believe and to pass knowledge that is conceptual and abstract is a huge advantage that humans have and allows us to be creative in ways that other animals can't.
Well, I that's interesting, and it makes sense to me. And I also wonder how much of that, if any, is related to long-term memory. This thing happened. A bunch of time passed, and it happened again. Maybe it'll happen again. Oh, suddenly I can count on this thing happening.
Yeah. I think it's fascinating that those the studies about attachment therapy theory, like kids, like these orphaned kids in like Soviet orphanages, like kids who like were basically left in a crib for like 7 years, like the first 7 years of their lives. Yeah, they when they're like almost like wolf children,
feral.
But when they do manage to bring these people into some kind of modern state or whatever, they find that they don't remember any of it. It's sort of like babyhood. Yeah. They think that a function of your understanding and your memory, and like you're saying, your long-term memory, has something to do with language acquisition, and
that makes sense. Yeah.
Sure. And changes that mark passing of time. I don't know.
Well, it's interesting. That conceptually, this idea that memory isn't one thing. You know what I mean? This is funny. Yeah. This is funny because I talk about this a lot, and I don't think I don't. We're just talking. It doesn't matter. One of the things that I've thought a lot about is the fact that when I'm having sex with people, my eyes are closed, or even
with
actually
people?
I don't even. Yeah, with people, with non-human origin people. It's crazy. No, actually, it doesn't even matter that. If I'm playing a show, if I'm playing on stage with a band, 90% of the time my eyes are closed. And so like I know that event happened, and I may remember some of that event. Hey! God, and it's a tantalizing little bit of nothing there. Yeah, let me see here. Okay. So like I know that it happened, and I remember fleeting moments of it, but because my eyes are closed most of the time, I don't have the same record that I would have. And it's the same thing with sex. Like when I'm kissing somebody, like I don't kiss somebody with your eyes open. I mean, I guess some people do, and those people should not be trusted, but that's a whole other thing. But yeah, like for me, and even when I'm thinking, right? Like there have been several times in this conversation and in my life when I'm thinking about what I'm saying, and the visual aspect is a distraction, right? So, and my point is, because I don't have a visual record to go along with, the infinite number of times that I've had lots and lots of sex, I don't have records of that. You know what I mean? That's what, and it's interesting. And I think it relates to the whole language thing too, or other things like if you're spending all of your time in a crib, what is demarcating the time, from yesterday to today to next year to last year? Like if it's just like at the same time every day somebody, basically slides some food under the door.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have no reference. There's nothing extraordinary that happened. Like I remember being 3 and having seen in a cartoon that you could look through the keyhole to see what's on the other side. And my sister, I've told you this story. My sister had gone to school. It was like 8:00 in the morning or something. I went to the door and I tried to look. Of course, we had modern doors, so you can't do that. And so like I put my eye up at 3 and I'm trying to look through the keyhole. I don't realize that's not a thing that you can still do in a modern door. And also because of that, I don't see my sister coming back.
What the hell are we talking about?
We're talking about the fact that I remember this event where I thought I could look through the keyhole and see my sister leaving at 3 years old, and I
Oh,
didn't see her come back and open the door into my face and give me a black eye. But that's
no.
an event. Like that's an extraordinary event that I remember, right? But I don't remember getting juice that day or something. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this is getting a little weird.
I feel like I can't do this.
Oh, come on, you're doing fine.
No.
Dear God. What is the why dear God?
I think we all lost the
We
thread.
lost the thread because I was talking about my sister opening the door in my face.
Yeah, I think you were. Yeah,
My point is you have to have signposts to remember things. You know.
Deej.
It was the front door.
I need to go back to something that I think Mountains of Elysium maybe said survival of the fittest to
Hey, I put that up
mean
before.
survival of the most adaptable. That's only true when adaptability is the most advantageous trait. Haha. You've got a little bit of circular logic there, yes.
Here's one for you.
Totally. It's wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. Totally totes. Okay, so I don't know. I'm like staring. I'm still in Costa Rica, everybody.
Yeah, why don't you just turn the camera away from yourself and show people how beautiful it is there? If you don't want to show yourself.
How beautiful it is. Ta-da.
I mean, you are really in Costa Rica right now.
For reals. That's my lime tree over there. I'm sitting on the balcony of my house, which is made of wood, as you can see.
What kind of wood is that? That looks like an exotic wood. I might have
It's
heard.
almond wood.
Is that right?
I can't do this. I haven't fixed my face. I hate.
You know what? The resolution is so bad that it doesn't matter, and your lens is dirty anyway. So you look like Ingrid Bergman. You're fine.
Thanks.
Apparently,
yes, Costa Rica. What?
Apparently, you're not allowed back in the States.
Costa Rica. I know I had been back to this. Costa Rica is far from the Canadian wildfires. Tell them again about. So Chris, there, my ex, and by the way, this show is Exes because we used to be married to each other. Chris, there is in Baltimore, Maryland, and I am in Monteverde, Costa Rica. Yeah, I'm on the equator. You're at something like 38 degrees north, I believe. Tell us about the air.
The air quality here is terrible in Baltimore, but the air quality in Costa Rica is probably really nice.
I mean, I think we have some of the cleanest air in the world here. Sorry. Who measures this stuff?
The Department of Air Quality. DOAC.
Air quality index.
Here, I can show you how great things are in Costa Rica.
It has to be Monteverde because.
Well, I can't because they they cleverly don't show you, but you can see where it's red and everything. It's awful, and down there, where they stop showing you, it's so good they don't have to show you.
Today's air quality.
Ta-da!
Oh, gosh, it's for somebody who is technologically capable. Showing your phone screen is a little bit silly.
How dare you?
I know, bitch. Here you go. I mean, here you go.
That's great.
It's only good though. Satisfactory.
What's a little bit of mine?
Yeah, and I read some research recently. It talked about the effect of air quality, especially particulate matter, on serotonin and other neurotransmitters. Um, and there was some hypothesis that um, depression and anxiety are worse in developed countries, in part because the air quality is almost uniformly worse.
Can you say that again?
Yeah, I read some research about the effect of air quality on serotonin and other neurotransmitters,
Oh,
and therefore anxiety and depression, and how well antidepressants work. Also,
interesting.
I do have volcanoes to worry about. That's true,
She
but I
doesn't.
don't
She
worry about
doesn't worry about them.
yeah. Oh, apparently, bird of prey is my future ex.
How do you? Where does it?
That
Do
can't
they
be
say that?
true because if I were with bird of prey, I would never leave him. He's the greatest guy on the whole planet.
Well, bravo, bird of prey.
That was funny because it sounded like you were actually
Like I was actually upset.
like you cared. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we're doing real well on the sulfur dioxide.
Sulfur dioxide. What's that from?
I'm disappointed that the highest rating is good. I wanted to be like the best thing ever.
Superlative.
Mm-hmm. It's got
Exemplary.
Copernicus atmosphere monitoring service information. Great. Totally. I want a shirt from there. I'm a fan of the Copernicus atmosphere monitoring service.
The Space Shuttle Columbia.
I would so love that.
Do you remember making that guy? You would always imitate him. Well,
Oh,
right.
yeah, don't say the name. I don't
No,
want to
but
be.
can you do it? Can you
Yeah.
do it right now?
Yeah, yeah. The robot arm. The space shuttle will release his robot arm, and Jerry's. Yeah, there was this NPR reporter. It was very zealous. The suits are made from Kevlar. It was just like
They can withstand micrometeorite abrasions. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Very funny. Hi, Fifi. I'm on live YouTubiness with your dad.
father.
Yeah.
What?
You wanted me to turn on your camera?
Yeah.
I'm wearing headphones, so you
Hi,
can.
Fifi.
I see that.
I can't hear you guys.
Sorry, I muted us. Sorry, hold on. Let me take this off too, because it's like there.
Oh, it's a two shot.
Well, no, we're just
What is this?
It's called YouTube.
No, I know what YouTube is. What is Birdo Prey 5?
Oh, he's this great guy.
He is going to be your mom's future ex, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was your trip?
I lived in Mexico City for a long time, and at the time, which was the late '90s, they said that that living in Mexico City, it didn't matter if you smoked or not. That your like cancer chances were the same, which I took as a reason to just keep on smoking.
Okay.
I later quit.
And then you unquit.
Nuh-uh.
There's
I-
a cigarette right in your
I
hand.
quit 20 times a day. um, and their dogs. Oh, stop. Okay, this is not your show. This is Andrea's
This is my show, I think.
The Fifi Mandra.
Oh shit! If they haven't heard that yet.
No?
Nope.
Okay.
I think it might be my show.
What?
This show.
The variety show? It is not.
I think this is my show.
Oh, you can just start calling Bird of Prey Dad. He says.
Weirdo.
That's funny.
That was very strange.
You don't expect a 17-year-old to know what a bird of prey is, right?
It's a Klingon warship, right?
Yes. It's from the Star Trek universe.
Weirdo Rama.
I'm sure that
Okay.
I built a model of one as a kid.
Stop. Fifi has taken my laptop from me.
This is my show now.
No.
Hey guys. Let me give you a tour.
So that's a car.
I don't know what else to give a tour. Here.
Hey, how far is your room from there? Do you have to go downstairs? Oh, it's a dog.
Yeah.
Hello, John.
Hello, John. Lola, do you want to be on YouTube Live?
9.
Okay, I'll give you back your show. I'm sorry.
Can you turn off the camera, please?
Yes. Here. Thank you
can't-
for
I do that-
letting me be a guest star.
Oh, you're welcome. I don't turn on my camera in Zoom either, even for meetings, because
I think it's fun.
I just
You
don't
can-
like looking at myself.
Well, you don't.
No,
have to-
you can hide yourself view in Zoom. That's what I do.
And I just worry about what I look like.
Right. Maybe that's something you should work on.
Maybe I should.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay.
Oh, the glasses are on.
What happened? Ah!
What happened?
Nothing.
Did they step on a slug?
No, something much worse.
2 slugs?
Yeah.
Let's hear about how. No.
Well, it all happened when Andrea was on a German Marshall Fund fellowship and went off medication and decided to start smoking Gauloise, and it's been that way ever since.
Go off any medication.
He's obviously joking.
Yeah, the rest of it is true.
What is this? What is that square?
Yeah, what's in this?
Oh, I think it's a mirror or something.
There's a square
It
behind
looks
you,
like-
Chris, on your.
It looks
Oh,
like
that's just a reflective. That's a here, I'll show you actually.
That is a longer room than it looked like.
yeah. What the fuck?
Hi, John DeMarco. Good to see you.
This is a this is like a fake ISO booth that you stick a microphone inside,
Oh,
and this is basically a pop filter.
So you put a microphone in that and then do what?
Well, it won't pick up any room reflections. It will only pick up what's coming from here,
Oh,
right? Because it's all, I don't know if you can see, it's all,
Peach says it's a TARDIS.
it is a tiny TARDIS.
So where do you put your mouth?
Yeah. It's, where do you put your grill?
Did you take the door off and talk in that way, or
Well,
what?
no. So this is made of acoustically transparent material that stops plosives, right?
AKA pantyhose.
Yeah. Yes. And so you put the mic in through the bottom,
Oh yeah.
and it comes up here and goes, ah! And then you slide the guillotine down, and then when you pull it out, there's no longer a thing there. You see that?
Oh,
It's like
Rose
magic.
is scared of.
No, I touched your ear in some way. Okay, that's cool. Where'd you get that, huh?
That was, I got that from my dead friend.
From your what?
My dead friend.
Oh, from St. Croix?
No, Lizzie.
Lizzie. Oh, Lizzie.
Did I tell you what my neighbor says? Like
No.
after Lizzie died, so Scott and his mother. So Scott, on the one hand, Scott's a great guy because he takes care of his mother.
Uh-huh.
But on the
Sort
other
of.
hand,
This guy is the racist Jew.
their love language is sarcasm, right? So
Yeah.
like they're the people there. So after Lizzie died, and I found my friend dead. After he died, they would be like, "Ah, did you find any other stinkers?" Right? Like they're really awful people.
Like
They're
other
very
dead
strange.
people?
Yes. Did I find any other dead people?
Mar, you don't put your head in there. You just talk through the like at the little door.
You have to get small, and then you go in there.
And it's only for recording, cats and mice. Okay, so have we run out of things to say?
Well, we've done this for an hour and
Ever.
40 minutes.
Forever and ever. Okay, so I just want to. Okay, one last thing though. The same logic problem that I find with the whole UFO thing is present and worse with the bullshit ancient archaeology thing. The whole idea that there was some non-human intelligence that built a lot of, lithic monuments. That stuff is not only faulty logic mixed with real stuff to make it truthy, but it's kind of racist. It stems from the whole idea that humans could not have done X, Y, or Z because they didn't have the tools that we have now, and that's not true. We they talk about how well fitted the stones in the pyramids are to one another, or no, they couldn't have possibly, done this or that. And the that's another teleological problem. We are not necessarily only able to do the things we're able to do now because of the technology we have, especially when you're talking about carving stone. I mean, I understand that it's unbelievable the precision, but if you take, say 300 slaves and 100 years and nothing else to do, you can get really precise on those rocks. The thing but oftentimes, what those people say, the ancient cultures or whatever, I don't remember what they call themselves, ancient knowledge or whatever those people say is
Druids?
that no, the people with the shows and the websites about how there had to have been some contact from a non-human source to have done dot dot dot. They, first of all, one thing they're right about is that we're missing great big chapters of human history and archaeological history, and we don't know nearly as much as we act like we do. So they find holes all the time, right? But the idea that there had to have that humans couldn't have done it, so there had to have been aliens, is totally faulty. And the reason why it ends up being sort of racist is because the whole sort of teleological thought comes from empire, where people taking over countries or continents of indigenous people told themselves that they were the more advanced humans because of their technology, their ability to travel in big boats, their god, their whatever, and therefore because of that, they were actually doing something nice by either murdering or converting the natives, right? And that sets up, and once you have to believe that you are more advanced than another culture, then it sets up the whole teleological idea. It's the same reason why um, people, stay in places where they're oppressed, and have fewer choices because they believe that that's the system. You know, I don't think I'm doing a very good job of explaining, but the point is, um, it's a fundamentally bigoted thought to say those people before couldn't have done this advanced thing, and therefore it must have been somebody else. You have no evidence for that. Evidence of incredible advancement is evidence of incredible advancement by the people who were there, not evidence that somebody else was. Does that make sense? I don't think you're even listening to me anymore, Chris.
I thought you were talking to everybody else. No, of course it makes sense. I was while you were talking about that, it made me think about this this thing about Homo naledi. Have you heard about this? That
Yeah. Mhm.
that they buried their dead in the fetal position with cave depressions covered with soil, and they're older than Homo sapiens burials by at least 100,000 years, which is interesting because it's like I was joking with you about the idea of if there was a Chat GPT autobiography, it should be called "Without Prompts, I'm Nothing."
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? And like,
Yeah.
and the thing that I always think about is that two things. So that I asked ChatGPT to give me a list of 5-letter words ending in OA. Right? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And it did a shitty job of it. Like it
It,
only
like
did,
it like 5 or 4 of them
yeah, like
didn't end in OA.
right. And then I'd be like, no, I asked you to do this. Oh, sorry, yeah, of course. And then it gives me another 10 where 5 of them are not. I'm like, no, I asked you to end in OA. Oh, I misunderstood. You want them to not end in OA. It's like that whole Monty
Yeah.
Python skit.
Right.
And and the thing that I'm struck by is, first of all, and lots of people will rush um to the defense of ChatGPT and be like, oh, well, it's not really meant to do that kind of thing. It's really more for, a Boolean kind of. And I'm just like, if you're going to declare something to be the next Oracle and it can't do something like that, it can go fuck itself. But the other thing that I always think about is the fact that ChatGPT or any AI today, um, would not make a cave painting, without a prompt. And that's what I
Yeah.
think is interesting. Like,
They
right?
can't
That's
think of things that haven't been that I mean, in some ways they can be creative, right? They've got a neural net, but they aren't there's a big difference between AI and AGI, right?
yeah, yeah,
Artificial intelligence and artificial general intelligence.
yeah. No, it's true. And then I also talked to you about the idea that, for instance, with something we talked at a certain point, they freeze the knowledge that it's munging.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so in a weird way, like I was joking about this, but it's also fascinating to me, the idea that for something like Chat GPT, its knowledge stops in like December of 2022 or something.
Yeah, yeah. It
Um,
says something if you go to ChatGPT, it says something like ChatGPT has limited knowledge of events in after, November of 2022 or something like that.
But it's also interesting because, in a sense, then all of the art that it has taken in is only art that exists up to that point, and any new innovation or something that comes after that is inaccessible to it, and should not be figure outable by it, because it's not extrapolating. It's extrapolating from what it knows. It's not extrapolating into the unknown. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Based on what
yeah,
you're asking it.
yeah. Um,
This is great. Hold
wait, okay. Everyone, yes, we are all individuals. ChatGPT, I'm not.
on. It's Monty Python Life of Brian.
But wait, I want to say, uh, yeah, John DeMarco here saying ancient civilizations were a lot more clever than modern society gives them credit for. We think we're smarter, but we just have more accumulated technology. That's exactly my point. The accumulation of technology is not a measure of capital P progress. There's
Right.
no teleology here. It doesn't. In fact, the more we know about neuroscience, the more we understand that ancient humans were exactly like us. They were just, and like we tend to use these weird words like hunter gatherer and
Sure.
small bands and local chieftain and things that sort of passively relegate them to this sort of like kind of semi-savage status, and makes it seem like they couldn't possibly, for example, have decided what their governing structure might be, or been sort of self-aware about
Sure.
how they deal with like debt and economic sorts of things, and that none of that is true. They were exactly like us with different stuff.
I mean, today we have like, president of the HOA or member of the PTA, right?
Yeah,
Like,
they're basically savages.
yeah. Oh God.
But yeah, what Bird says here, people with the best guns wins. That's exactly what happened in the basically the you know
You know, uh,
14th, 15th, 15th, 16th century is, you know, use of force, like physical force, was the decider of the narrative that would be told. And the narrative was the people with that dominated that use of force were the most advanced ones. And everybody else was just like catching up. And you see this all the time. Even down here in Costa Rica, people are like, oh, look at the, native people in their native cloths or whatever. It's not, like, and the point is, it does link back to what you're talking about. Um, the the
can I jump in?
you please do.
So, one of the things that I think is interesting is, and I think is dangerous about everybody being so excited and so breathlessly excited about generative AI, and because they're like, oh, I don't have to write this thing, or I don't have to make this thing, or and it seems to me that a lot of skill is going to atrophy in the same way that um, well, no, hold on. We talk about, we very clearly, like when I was a kid, I didn't know where anything was until I had a bicycle to go somewhere, right? Like,
Mhm.
and that knowledge improved when I had a car, and we learned how to use maps and things. But it's like we would learn things and we would figure out where
You
they
didn't know how
were.
to
And we
use
would remember.
roads, though. Road
Hold on,
signs.
hold on. We'll
Sorry.
talk about that in a second. Um, yeah, ponies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The My point is that we're talking about these ancient civilizations pre writing, where everything was an oral tradition, and people had to have fantastic memories for these stories and be able to tell them, and who knows how much post office was going on and how embellished they were, but they started and they were passed down for a long time, and our version of that is like remembering somebody's phone number, which most people don't do at all. Like I happen to know, I know my phone number, I know my wife's phone number, I kind of know your phone number, but like I don't, I remember my family's very first phone number from, New York, but like who remembers that today? That's not and my point is, it's not necessary, but
Right.
we're losing something in the same way that like,
I would say
you
we're
know,
changing.
well, we are change is certain, right? There's that adage: "What change is certain, progress is not." Like we're definitely changing. I'm not. I'm not trying to be a luddite or anything. I'm just saying we should be aware of what we're losing, because if people, I said this. Who did I say this to? It's like there is something about uh, a person having a tremendous amount of affection for another person and struggling to find the words with that, instead of giving ChatGPT a prompt. And it's
Mhm.
and even if the words aren't great, the other person understands that you are communicating with them in a specific way, trying to tell them, trying to f the ineffable, right? Like trying to explain to them this profound set of feelings and emotions that you have about them in words. And that struggle is not only real, but it's important and it's vital. You know what I mean? And
I just
I
yeah.
think we're losing things. That's my point.
Well, I
We
mean,
need
you
to be
could say
aware of
if
it.
there's something iconic about being lost and having to stop at 8 different places and get directions. I mean,
No, I'm
we
not
just
talking
we
about
find
that.
humans will never stop the reason it's hard to come up with the words
Mhm.
for explaining that love is because you're trying to say it in a way that is really expressive of you and not the same words that everybody else does. So
Sure.
we will never stop trying to do that. That is just a feature of humanity. I
Mhm.
mean, I think every generation, I read this story once, this review of a new form of transportation. This doctor was saying that it was way too fast for human biology,
Oh, right. Yeah.
and that it was going to break bones, or at least like change the biology. Blah, blah, blah. And it was a doctor who was on one of the first trains going 11 miles an hour. It's like the thing about humans is we endlessly adapt to now, and there's never been a control group. Just because we grew up with bikes and outside and and no chat gpt doesn't make us the control group for humans. And it's like
I agree with that. Yeah.
all these people who say that like too much screen time you know um harms development is absolutely not true. We don't have a standard for human development. We've never had we've never measured human brain development without all of the modern shit we have.
Mhm.
You can't say. And plus, besides the fact that we don't know jack shit about how the brain works, basically, we just kind of measure some shit and we're like, oh my god, this number is lower than that one if they're in front of a screen. We every generation when it gets to this age that we are, thinks humans are going to lose the ability to. Now I know what you're saying though. You're saying we're losing something beautiful,
Well, yeah, that is exactly what I'm saying.
not
And
we're losing something and it should be stopped.
yeah, I'm saying I'm not saying that it should be stopped. I'm saying it's important to not lose sight of the fact that things are happening, and that there will be unintended consequences of these things, and that um, we do ourselves a disservice to not be aware of the unintended consequences that are occurring all around us with this unbelievable rate of change that's happening right now. Because everybody, it's kind of like, it's like, this is a little silly. I don't remember which Star Trek thing it is, but it's the Star Trek movie where the guy presents himself as a god and hugs people and takes their pain away, right? And his whole thing is to get a starship, and Kirk's the only person who's like, what does a god need with a starship, right? Like, which is a great question, right? And
About
this is the
8
same.
people in the chat will know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, no, and I know that. And my point is, it's important to think about, while this amazing thing is happening and distracting us, it's important to think about what's also happening. And
Mhm.
that doesn't mean stop it. It doesn't mean it's evil. It's technology is not inherently anything.
Yeah,
People are what make it things, right?
humans are. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's all I'm saying. Uh, and that's another thing too, because like, for instance, music, right? We're getting to this point, where I was looking at, somebody put up, their signal chain for recording, and at the front of the signal chain, before compression or EQ or anything, was auto tune, and it just made me think about this idea that we're literally, I don't know, months away from AI music product that is going to be, for a lot of people, completely fine and completely like, in its way, homogenous, and a type of perfection, if you will. And what's going to rise out of this are people who actually, who deeply love music, who discover it on TikTok or wherever, because somebody was like, well, I have this distortion pedal and I have this cassette recorder and I have this realistic microphone, and if I put them together backwards, something weird is going to happen, and it might be awful, but I bet no one's ever heard it before.
Yeah.
And that becomes fascinating, and there's just a lot going on, and I think it's important to try to keep observant of what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody's like Star Trek 5. Yeah, there you go. What was that one called? like the Search for Home or something like that, or I don't know. That can't be. I don't know. Sorry, I've seen them, but I don't know. I'm gonna see for it, and I don't know anyone cares, but I'm going. I like seeing
Stay
movies by
there.
myself, so I'm gonna see the new Transformers movie today at 3 at a matinee. Um, it's funny how all the theaters now you have to reserve a seat, and it's nice. I mean, the seats are better, I guess,
Do people actually sit in the seat they reserved?
as far as I can tell. Well, they used to do. Thank you, Bird of Prey. They used to do this thing where you could order food and they would deliver the food to your seat too.
Yeah.
They don't all do that now, but it's cool.
Are you going to one of those?
They're all like that now. Well, so the one that I'm going to used to be called Cinebistro. It's at the Rotunda in Baltimore,
Mhm.
and it's they don't do the delivery anymore. They do the you just order it and bring it with you, which is fine, obviously, but it's kind of cool to have stuff delivered to your seat.
Yeah.
You know,
I kind of love the ChatGPT. I just love, I can't help it. I'm a little bit of an ambulance chaser, and I just love it when something comes in and like breaks a whole bunch of shit.
sure.
you
No,
know?
I mean this is a very exciting time to be alive. This is revolutionary.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
love all of the jobs which will cease to be necessary writing stupid copy. I love that we're breaking the entire like educational, like write a paper about this, because that shit has been busy work for so long. It hasn't
Mhm.
taught what it ostensibly is supposed to teach. Education is the most random and stupid thing we do now. Totally. It makes no sense at all. Like it's still set up to, you know, produce legions of office workers when and not make anybody like learn or be creative or analyze things,
Mhm.
I mean, when it was built, nobody was walking around with, most of human knowledge in their pocket, and now they are from about like fourth grade on.
Which is
um,
and what do you do with that, right? That's interesting because this is one of the things we used to talk about in computer music is the idea that technology has outstripped the. Okay, I'm not saying this is a fact, but it seems a lot like technology and capability has outstripped the ability of people to do things with it that are innovative and extraordinary.
why would you think that?
Well, what I mean is, it's like, for instance, if you um, musically, technology can allow you to do things that are superhuman. And the only person, one of the few
You
people
mean
I
that you
know,
can't play on an instrument?
sure, and one of the few people I know who was doing anything, excuse me,
Don't die.
one of the people that there's a guy named Conlon Nankaro who's a composer who would write music on piano rolls,
Hmm.
for those player pianos, and
Hmm.
could do unbelievably mathematically complicated,
Right.
impossible for a human to play things,
As if his thumb and his pinky could stretch, an octave, two
or as if or
octaves.
as if he had 20 hands or
Hmm.
20 fingers, right? Like, or
Hmm.
whatever. But
20 hands.
yeah, I don't know.
Woo!
Yeah. But like, so my point in saying this is that I first of all, I don't think you have to. Just because you have the ability to do something doesn't mean you need to do it to make it valid, right? Like, I think it's a very good point that, for instance, the Beatles, with George Martin, recorded all of this music on 4-track,
Hmm.
where they would record, 3 tracks and bump it down to track one, and then
Hmm.
record, 2 tracks, and they would do
Got
everything
a
they
bigger
could with what
mixer.
they had. Yeah.
Hmm.
And that music, and I think that generally people would agree that that music for that time is so extraordinary that it seems in a weird way hard to believe it's even possible
Hmm.
that those guys would come at that right time with that, with George Martin and that technology, and really push it. And what do we have today? Maybe there is a lot of stuff today that I'm unaware of. I don't know, but it's interesting because you listen to something like Stockhausen's Gesang der Junglinge, where it's all of this, mixtures of, sine oscillators and boy soprano, and the text is from the Fiery Furnace, and all of this stuff that was done over a period of months,
Mhm.
where he's making bits of tape and he's hanging them up and he's got to write down all of the settings. Whereas today, I just call up the project that I worked on 6 years
Yeah.
ago and it's exactly the same.
Well, we didn't realize it's like you can think of it as, oh, suddenly we can do superhuman things, or you can think of it as oh my gosh, I didn't realize that the piano was a hindrance to what I wanted to do musically before.
That's
You know
interesting.
what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
And I think hey, Stockhausen, is that the same Stockhausen from Stockhausen syndrome or whatever, when you fall in love with the person who kidnaps you?
That's Stockholm syndrome.
Oh.
Hey, everybody, mark the time because this never happens.
What, that I get something?
Yes. Part of the reason that Andrea and I got together is because I told her something she didn't know about eating polar bear liver, because the vitamin A in it would kill
We
you.
were not eating polar bear livers at the time.
Not at the time, but we were just talking and I was like, and I can't even imagine how we got onto that, but I was like, yeah, you can't eat polar bear liver. Eskimos, Inuits know this, that if you eat a polar bear liver, you will die because there's such a high concentration of vitamin A, your body can't handle it and it will kill you.
It's actually, that's not quite right. It's because vitamin A is cumulative in the body, so you can't have a habit of eating polar bear livers.
Right. Well, but wouldn't one kill you, or just you'd have to eat a bunch?
When you're talking about population right now, right? You're talking about you.
However, this happened when I told her this. Andrew was like, "Oh, someone knows something,"
Did you also tell me the sort of half joke thing about why polar bears don't eat penguins?
I didn't tell you that. I told you that how a polar bear is going to attack you. It puts its hand in front of its nose so you can't see it.
Well,
do you know the joke about the penguin and the car trouble?
No, what?
So the penguin's driving along and is having some car trouble, and the car's not really working. So he sees a garage and he pulls into the garage. And the garage has like it's an old timey garage, so there's like a soda fountain next to it or whatever. so
Okay.
the penguin goes next door and gets like a root beer float or something, and so the guy comes in and he's like, "Oh yeah, penguin, yeah, figured out what your problem with the car is. You blew a seal." And the penguin's like, "No, it's a little ice cream."
Oh my god! Ew.
So.
Polar bears don't eat penguins because they live on opposite poles of the planet, just in case anybody was...
Oh, really?
Yeah. Polar bears are North Pole and penguins are South Pole.
How about that? That's another thing too. I mean, I wonder, going back to evolution and natural selection for a second, like what, if there is much less ice and snow than there used to be, how is it, what's going to happen to the polar bear? Like how, in the same way that the moth changed color, will there be many fewer white polar bears?
No, there won't be any. I've never seen a model that has shown no ice and snow up there. It's just the melting of glacial ice that we expect, more of. And that the problem is actually that polar bears need ice floes, like floating sheets of ice to live on and to hunt from. Barefoot.
There's some funny stuff here, and this is nice. This is a really great interface. I mean, it works really well.
Polar opposites. Ha! Grizzly bear. Everybody's got good jokes. Do you know what a baby puffin is? This is not a joke. Baby puffins are called pufflings. Isn't that cute?
That is very cute. Did we talk about a crow court?
No, what's that?
So
we
apparently,
talked about Ross Courthard or whatever.
Colt Hart. So don't talk about snowfall amounts higher than normal. So hold on. I've lost my train of thought. What did I just say? What were we just talking about?
Court hard.
No, not him. Before that.
Somebody rewind your YouTube.
Shit.
It was a name. It was some guy. Did I tell you about Cortland?
No. Crows. Thank you. It was so this thing called a crow court where, and I saw a video of it where basically if there are a group of crows.
Oh, I thought this was somebody named Crow Court. Okay.
No. Sorry, that makes sense now. There's a group of crows, and if one of the crows steals food,
and what is a group of crows called?
A murder. But there's an attempted murder joke in there, which is great.
Mm.
What do you call two crows an attempted murder?
Yes.
That is Andrea's fake laugh.
That is not. You take that laugh the wrong way. Let's get into that later. Tell me about the crows court.
So the crow court, if one of the crows steals food from the group, the other crows will basically beat the crap out of the crow. I guess it's the crow court jury and executor. But yeah.
You mean executioner?
I didn't want to say that because I don't think they kill the crow. I think they just beat it.
Well, executor is somebody who administers a will.
Well, I was thinking that this was administering a beating. But yeah, they get very upset and they beat the crap out of the crow that stole the stuff. That's another thing too. Apparently, it's a whole other thing. Did you hear about the orcas that are?
I did hear a little bit about that, but tell me what you saw.
So what I read was that I guess a boat had. I don't think it was intentional, but a boat apparently hit and either damaged or killed an orca, a killer whale, and they started talking amongst themselves and have been destroying yachts.
Yeah, they've been like working together and stuff. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Crows are incredibly intelligent too. They've done all these studies. I think it's on is it the Harvard campus or some campus up in Boston where they threatened the birds once wearing a Bill Clinton mask.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know, but I mean, it makes sense to me. And then they
found that the threat call around that guy with the Bill Clinton mask was passed down generation to generation, so they can learn non-genetic, safety information.
Well, I'm just looking at this thing here.
I did you remember when I was doing that show with National Geographic?
Yes.
I did an episode talking to this guy who works with green rumped parrots or something. These parrots in Sub-Saharan Africa, who he's trying to work out their vocalizations, and they seemed to be at the time on the cusp of deciding that these parrots actually have theory of mind, they have a sense of self in a way because they have. Why are you writing as me?
I just said it wasn't. Well, it's not my fault. This is set up that way.
So what that means in this instance is there are lots of animals that have individual calls, where they'll go, they'll walk around being like, Andrea, Andy, so sort of announcing themselves. And others identify, them or look for them based on those calls, those individual calls. But these parrots have, seem to have actual kind of names and can be referred to when they're not there.
Really?
Which is a whole different sort of, philosophical sort of place because, it implies, again, belief, like we talked about earlier. It implies like a sense of abstraction to talk about a it implies that they could conceive of the world looking out through somebody else's eyes, point of view. And that's theory of mind.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's necessary for there are a few animals that they seem that seem to have hints of that.
Did I tell you? So that guy Jörg Tittel, who's a game developer, has a son, and they were walking through a park on Halloween last year, and out of nowhere, this little, I guess like a squishy little ball that had like orange with bats on it, which is funny because it was Halloween, just like fell from a tree in front of the kid. And the kid picked it up, and then this crow flew down and was like looking at the thing and looking at him.
Yeah.
And then the kid threw it, and the crow flew and got it, and then would bring it back to him and drop it for him again. And they played like this for like half an hour or something.
Oh wow!
Yeah, which I just I mean, who among us would not like to play fetch with a crow?
There are these magpie jays here. They look like blue jays, except they've got this little funny like curl, like was that kid in the Little Rascals with the hair that stood up?
Alfalfa.
No, not the black kid. The
Alfalfa's not the black kid. This just
Oh,
happened
isn't?
yesterday with Joe. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, Alfalfa's the sweet Adeline, like that guy. He's got the hair that sticks
I
straight
thought
up.
Alfalfa was a black kid. Anyway,
Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see.
Anyway, these birds that look just like blue jays, they're in the corvid family, so they're also crows and blue jays and things like. So they have really high level like mimicry and communication skills. Anyway, down at the beach here in Costa Rica, they hang around in like the tree. There are all these little like restaurants and bars that just like stick their tables out in the sand, right?
Okay.
And there's this one that I go to sometimes that is coffee, and it's got like those little like sugar packets in a little ceramic square thing that holds them. It's a cafe. Yeah. The birds hang out in the trees above the tables, and once you're like not looking, come right down on your table, grab a sugar packet, fly back up, and sit there on the branch above you. They slit open the packet and eat the sugar out of it with their beak. It's fascinating to watch.
Didn't they also do it with jelly, like those little jelly containers?
Probably. You probably saw that with Fifi, or
yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. A crow can learn to mimic speech better and faster than most parrots. Totally. Wait, my nerd card is revoked? Why?
Well, no, maybe that's me. Maybe I screwed your nerd card up.
Yeah, like I haven't written anything in the chat in a long time. It's all him.
Oh, because you didn't know that buckwheat. Well, thank you. I couldn't remember it was buckwheat either.
Oh, so please.
I heard this story about
knowledge
buckwheat.
Of the Little Rascals is not on the nerd the nerd information must-haves list.
So I heard this story about apparently if it was in the 70s, and a friend of Joe's was working in a gas station, and this huge Cadillac, like the biggest Cadillac he'd ever seen, biggest shiniest Cadillac he'd ever seen, comes up, and this black guy gets out, and the guy's like, this guy looks really familiar, and the guy walks over, he's like, you're trying to figure out who I am, aren't you? And he opens up the back of his truck, and it's buckwheat, and he gives him all of this like souvenir stuff. It's wild.
Yes, I do remember Eddie Murphy on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
You
have a lot of smart friends.
Yeah. I want a crow to come visit me. Hello, come visit me, everybody.
Did you guys all see the crow? There's a video on YouTube, or not YouTube, on Reddit that's going around where it's like this crow flies in and then drops money in a drawer that's full of money.
What?
I think it's in Europe. Yeah, this person had trained their crow to steal people's money. And there's just a drawer that's chock full of money.
Yeah, let's do that.
Oh, this weather. Well, we've been at this for almost 2 hours and 20 minutes. And
Jesus.
so when are we going to do this again?
The hills are alive. I don't know. I am no longer able to focus. It's going away.
Here, I'm going to post one thing real quick. Let me find it.
Where? Because you can't do it. You can only put the thing in the chat, I think.
Hold on. No, I'm going to post that story about the amplifier. Hang on. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Because it's a cool story, I think.
Cool. Chris is a cool guy, everybody.
And I have cool stories.
I have no cool stories. Okay. I'm going to post this as something about this broadcast. No, it is not. I'm just saving this thing now on YouTube. I mean, I'm not stopping it. I'm just making it slate or whatever the hell. Buenas. My next door neighbor is hanging out the laundry, everyone.
Okay.
Are you talking?
No. Am I trying to talk? I'm talking now.
Oh, thanks. We should stream more often. You mean more often than about every 2 years?
Yes. Please inject a question.
Yes, LDG is awesome. Hello. Only if you inject the question.
It's a direct injection.
You may not ask it. You may not pose it. It must be in a hypodermic and shot straight up from our big toes. You know, the thing I worry about, oh my God, Chris. I worry that people, we can talk about this in the next one, but that people think all this shit is real. You know, that whole part of my,
What shit?
like democracy, you know, that whole thing that we talk about.
We
Like,
talked about the other day. Yeah.
people think things are way more static than they are. Okay, if someone goes out to provide a service to the public for free, then post the video of doing it in hopes of making a few bucks on YouTube, is that still not working for free?
That's a good question. Does it matter?
It's asking for a level of granularity in a system that forces everybody to commodify everything they do already. People who work for free almost always have the means to be able to do so. So it isn't really a great example of working for free when they don't have to really support themselves with work. Don't feed into his lunacy. Yeah, I'm going to have to see that because I love Darren too. Darren believes the world is flat, Chris.
Not really.
Yes, and he's a really smart guy. I know.
You know, I have a question. So all the people who believe that the moon landing was fake, what about all the other moon landings?
Okay, you're sounding a lot like me when I'm like, where are all the other because vehicles that are crashing down on the earth?
I've never heard anyone else talk about that, right? But I think that it's a very interesting question because it's like I can understand somebody being skeptical of the first one because they're like, you know, it was a space race and we had to do it and it's a big deal or whatever. But like, what about all the other ones? You know, were those all fake too? I don't know. It just strikes me as funny. You know, if the Earth is flat, when you view other planets through a telescope and you can see them orbiting or see their revolutions,
shower curtain.
No, when you see their revolutions or something, do you think what do you think is happening there? Is it like like a flat conveyor belt that's just going around? Like, what is, or are we the only one that's flat?
I will say this.
I know that it's not flat, but I'm just curious.
We know a shit ton less than we think we do.
This is really funny.
So we filmed it on location. I will say this: we know a lot less than we think we do, and we talk about space and physics and everything as if we understood it, and we don't. So, for all I know, there could be a cosmic shower curtain somewhere hanging between two cosmic shower curtain hooks. But I so if that's the real challenge, then I understand it. But going back to the working for free thing, I would wonder what the actual question is, because why are you, well, for better or worse, I'm not saying the system we live in is bad. I'm just saying it is a system, and it requires you to commodify your work or your contribution to a system in order to buy things to eat.
I mean, but it's interesting. So like, I wrote this game with a friend that just came out, and one of the first things that happened that I needed for the game was a way to do audio expansion and like audio augmentation and diminution in the time domain and not the frequency domain. And a guy named David Bryant wrote this library to do that. And I started talking to him about it, and we got to this. He had, in fact, if you remember the LiveScribe pen where you could record conversations, he had licensed this library to them for using it. And so we're talking about it, and he's like, well, we probably should start talking about licensing. What's your business model? And I said, my business model is I like to do cool shit with my friends. And he said, oh, I understand that business model. I'll open source it for you. So, I mean, that's an example of doing something for free, but I got something out of it, right? That I didn't have to pay for, which was cool. Then years later, when this thing came out, at the beginning, I didn't think, well, I guess it could make money. It's actually, it's making some money, not a tremendous amount of money or whatever, but like, it's interesting because it was totally done as a labor of love and at our own expense. I don't know if I think this addresses what you're talking about in a sense. Like,
then what we're talking about is the difference between doing something that you wouldn't care to do, or something that you would do anyway.
Yeah,
it's not about the making of money.
Like, this is something we would do
everybody
anyway.
Seems to have to. Yeah. And I have this idea that we all could find jobs where you find a way to profit from giving something away from doing something you would do anyway, right? Yes, I think that is that's like the Star Trek economy, right? I mean, they just took away the need to buy things instead, but it's by having,
by having replicators.
Yeah. But essentially it's the same thing where what you do is have people, it would be great if everybody could basically sustain themselves and then choose to do projects that they want to do, and, or make more money if they want to make more money, or, go join Starfleet or like, make music, do whatever, you know what I mean? That's the way, I think that's what most people would say they would like to get to, but lots and lots of things get in the way. And I think it's usually about people scrapping over the pennies that are left for most people in the current system. So, for example, the idea of fairness has a really different axis among liberals and conservatives. Like, liberals tend to think of fairness as equal opportunity, mm-hmm. and conservatives tend to think of fairness as equal compensation for equal work. So, in other words, you shouldn't get paid if you don't work, or if you're lazy or whatever. That. Mm-hmm. So and not that either one of them is right. It's just that they're completely different concepts of fairness when you're setting up an economic system. You know, so the point being, there's a lot of pushback among some conservatives against like universal basic income because they don't see it as fair that people are just given money to do nothing. They see it that way. They don't see it in, universal basic income can be put in that light. Anyway, the point is, I believe people, like most people, would like to get to a place where we aren't forced to do jobs that either cripple our bodies or our minds in order to eat, but Dems to breaks.
Thank you, Boris Johnson. Well, yeah, I think 2.5 hours is probably a good time to stop this.
Oh yeah, there's a Jeopardy. Is it oh yeah, LDG. Good point. Yes, AI. I'm so glad people aren't going to have to sit around and write fucking, marketing copy and stuff.
Did you hear that a guy is suing AI for slander?
Who exactly is he suing?
Hold on.
OpenAI?
He's suing OpenAI. A Georgia man is suing the makers of ChatGPT for defamation. In a new lawsuit filed in Gwinnett County, Georgia, Mark Walters alleges that OpenAI, the company behind the popular artificial intelligence chatbot ChatGPT, is guilty of publishing libelous information about him.
Whatever.
And apparently it said, this. It's funny that they blithely call these like hallucinations, right? That it said that he was. Let's see here. Hold on. Yeah, it's the ChatGPT summary continued. Okay.
This is like sitting around and watching people sue the Napster guy. It was like, yeah, okay. You can take down Napster, but shit's done. Shit's over.
This is interesting. So it's like the complaint filed by Gottlieb against Mark Walters, who was accused of defrauding and embezzling funds from the SAF. The ChatGPT summary continued by stating that Walters was the group's treasurer and chief financial officer, and that he had misappropriated funds for personal expenses without authorization or reimbursement, manipulated financial records and bank statements to conceal his activities, and failed to provide accurate and timely financial reports and disclosures. ChatGPT was wrong across the board. Walters is neither a plaintiff nor defendant in the lawsuit. He never served as treasurer or financial officer, and he's not been legally accused of any crimes against SAF. So, I mean, it's interesting because that's
is he suing in the UK or here?
He's suing in Georgia.
State of?
He's suing in the Soviet Central Republic of Georgia. No, he's suing in Georgia, the state.
Interesting. He won't get Georgia. It's not gonna. It's interesting, but
here's the. I'll put this up if anybody wants it. Here.
I love it. I am not afraid of artificial intelligence. I'm scared of natural. Totally. People are like, there are snakes and tarantulas in the jungle and like pumas and shit. And I'm like, yeah. And the only thing that scares me is people. People are the things that hurt people more often than not. 48 hours for Andrea. What does that mean? That we should stay on for 48 hours? I could totally do 24 hours. No problem. But I'm not gonna.
It's funny. We both could.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should do that to raise money for a charity or something.
That's a good idea. The charity of Andrea and Grace who have $26 in their bank accounts right now because they live exactly like that and only do projects that they like to do.
There is a downside.
Yeah.
To all of this opulence.
Yeah. Dee just done multiple 48 hours of live streams.
He sounds like Paul Erdos.
I think the Erdos number existed way before Kevin Bacon.
I didn't actually read what you sent me about the Erdos number.
It's just the same thing as Kevin Bacon. It's just like it's actually how have you. So Erdos, in the end of his life, like sold his house and lived out of a suitcase for a bunch of years because all he cared about doing was publishing mathematical papers, collaborating with people. So he collaborated with hundreds of people. And his erdos is 0. Anybody who directly collaborated with him on a paper is 1, and so on. But you have to have collaborated on research with the mathematician. You have the next number from the one that you collaborated with. But it's a way of sort of tracking Erdős's kind of influence on mathematics. It's interesting.
There's the Erdős number project.
What is a little heart attack, Deej? I don't think of heart attacks in degrees.
That's a petite heart attack. It's a very cute heart attack.
It's like, I think I'll stop pumping just for a second.
It's like, and we're back.
Right. I definitely want to see the Jeopardy thing. That sounds cool. They put another stent. That's good. My dad went in.
Oh, Jesus.
They thought for a stent once. This was like 15 years ago now, but
it wasn't a stent.
No, they went in. He went into the cath lab, and they thought they were going to put in a stent, and they got the catheter up there and realized he had 4 arteries blocked 90% each. And
well, I mean, I guess
rushed
that's
him into
true.
bypass surgery.
Yeah, what I remember is, and I'm sure that part's true, but what I remember was that his doctor, he was like doing a stress test or something, and the doctor was like, his personal physician was like, something's not right, and you should go to the hospital right away. You remember?
No. They scheduled it. He did a stress test, right? And yeah, it was like a little bit like, yeah, you might need a stent. We should have you catheterized. We should have
That's crazy.
Should stick a camera in your groin and go up to your heart, look around.
That was like 15 years ago recently,
yeah.
Right? Like it was very.
Yeah, it was me. It was you. You and I were, when Fifi was 6 days old, and I had that terrible, terrible headache. And we went to the doctor, and he took my blood pressure, and then he took it again, and then he said, I want your husband to take you to the hospital and drop you off at the emergency room because we think it'll be faster than getting an ambulance on the Beltway.
Yeah. And we did. Can I tell the rest of the story?
If you want to.
Well, what was interesting is
they were waiting for me.
So
I remember I walked in the emergency room. I left you and the newborn baby.
Well, we talked about this. We were like, we didn't think we should bring our newborn child into the hospital. We thought it was probably not a good environment for her. And so I dropped her off. I dropped Andrea off, and then her dad came and met her there. And then she calls me from they put her in an emergency room bed, and they give you Dilaudid, right? Or something.
No.
What do they?
Oh, maybe.
They gave you something you liked, and you're like, I'm in the best place ever. They gave me Dilaudid or whatever, and then she just stopped talking. Which happens a lot with Andrea, if you know Andrea, because she'll like be talking to somebody else.
Wait, that's not.
Hold on, this is what happened.
I stopped talking. Did you get the joke?
Oh yeah, I wasn't. I didn't mean that. So she stopped talking. I thought a doctor was saying something, and then I hear commotion, and then somebody picks up the phone and says, "Mr. Mandra, your wife has had a seizure. We'll call you back," and they hang up. So that's what happened. That was crazy.
Yeah. And I don't remember the next 3 days.
Yeah.
They pushed 6 milligrams of Ativan intravenously all at once.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a lot?
I think you usually take like a half or 1 milligram pill.
What is that? What does Ativan do?
It's Xanax.
Okay.
Ativan, Klonopin, they're all metabolites of Valium. So they used to give people Valium, right? In the 50s and 60s. It turns out that metabolizes into like 52 different separate chemicals, all in your body. All of those 52 are what you call the benzodiazepines. And they have isolated those, and they created Xanax, Klonopin, Ativan, I can't think of any of the other ones right now. And basically they all do the same thing, except like Xanax hits fast and wears off quickly. Ativan hits a lot slower and wears off a lot more slowly. It's like they're just like that.
Didn't they also give you? They like pumped you full of something like magnesium or something?
Magnesium, yeah. Magnesium ions get block calcium channels in your muscle in your sarcoplasmic reticulum
to bring your blood pressure down.
No, they forcibly you are physically not able to contract your muscles. It's to physically stop you from seizing.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it also makes your eyes not work because you can't focus. It's fucked up.
It was rough.
Worst shit in the world. Yeah.
Well,
fun times. Why are we talking about that? Oh, because I was saying that was the time when the doctor. It was the time when the doctor was like, "Huh." You know, when your doctor like looks at you and then takes your blood pressure again.
Yeah. How was the rest of the play, Mrs. Lincoln? Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We were just talking about Ford's Theater, weren't we?
You and me? I don't think so.
Must have been my other husband.
Andrea also has a knack for not pronouncing either of our names correctly, which is funny.
Which is fine. And double standards aren't double standards when they're clear and stated.
What?
Meaning I can call you anything I want, but you have to call me my correct name. Okay, I think I'm picking up my guitar because I can't focus on any of this anymore.
Okay. Well, all right. So we're going to do this again at some point, hopefully soon. Maybe tomorrow. Who knows?
My God. 2 hours and 40
So does this get, I believe that this actually gets like archived on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I did it right for that. Woman logic. I mean, I don't want to know.
I feel like that's a Bob Marley song that was never released.
Oh, about the names. Yeah, that is totally woman logic.
All right. Well, it was nice. It was nice chatting with you in front of your friends.
That is exactly what this is. I don't think I'm ever going to call it anything else. It's not like a live stream, or like it is chatting in front of your friends. LDG deletes all of his. Andrew Seabrook, be sure to swing underground sometime and say he to everyone. Oh, go on, Chris, and tell them.
I'm showing you my game on the Playdate. If you know what Playdate is or not, you either know what it is or you don't.
Oh my God, tell them.
I'm not going to tell them. I don't need to tell them.
You're just going to hold it up and say, you know what this is.
It has a crank. You either know what this is or you don't. It's a cool thing that
do you think everybody who's cool in the world knows what that is? Because I really don't.
I don't think that's true. I wasn't saying. I never said you were cool if you knew what it was. I said it's a cool little thing. This is typical. All right. Are you playing that? What is that piece? That's a famous piece.
Romanza. Spanish romance. I'm playing it poorly because I'm on the fucking.
But it's a shame that the audio, the like codec they're using makes it sound like real media. All right, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna end this. I'm gonna press the end broadcast button. You ready?
Do it.
Let's give it a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2. Bye.